Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, it's like flower arranging, but with the bodies of dead children.
Welcome to the RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Michael Spiffle-Webben.
And today we'll be discussing Chapter 4 of Sailor Moon, Another Story, entitled And Friends, because the first part of Chapter 4 was hostility. So clearly this is the end.
This part's also got a lot of hostility.
Yeah, there's still some hostility in this, admittedly.
If in fact, if I had to name the halves of this chapter, I would name the first half and friends, and the second half hostility.
And friends, comma, hostility.
Because in this version, at least, it seems like you're all friends with the Black Moon people since you gave them a happy ending, and so they're just like, oh hey, thanks for being my friend, and also kill me so that I can die peacefully. And you're just like, all right, friends, and then this one, the world explodes.
Yeah.
So,
and they're like, fuck you fuck.
That's 100% an original anime thing, and again, one of the things that I really appreciate on the original anime over the manga, that the villains got actual character arcs and redemption, which was great. Yeah. But before we get started on all of that, how was everyone's week?
My week was really cool. So I got a library card a few weeks ago. I think I mentioned it on the podcast. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned it in the Discord. But we have been reading The Runaways, which is amazing. And while I was while we were going to pick it up, I saw that they had volumes 15 through 20 of Nana, which was one of my favorite manga back in the day. And I was like, oh, well, it sucks that they don't have the beginning. But then I decided to be a wise library patron and check the catalog and see that not only do I have a library card for the Spicewood Springs library across the street from my house, I have a library card for everywhere in Austin. And
that's awesome.
They also bring you books from everywhere in Austin. So they didn't have the early volumes of Nana at mine, but I just went on the catalog and was like, oh, hey, Ruiz Branch has them. Hey, Ruiz Branch, bring them to me. And so a couple days later, they brought me Nana. So I've started reading that again, and it's so good. Here's the elevator pitch to make you in love with it. So these two girls, both named Nana, they move to Tokyo for different reasons, and both of those reasons become a shit show the moment they get there. So they're looking for an apartment, and they meet on the train, and then turns out that they're both going to an open house at the same apartment. That's a bedroom, and they decide, well, let's just move in together since we hit it off on the train. And Nana Osaki is in a punk rock band, and so half charts her band's shot to the top. It half tracks the fact that her boyfriend is the lead bassist in the already top band, and then Nana Komatsu, also known as Hachi, which is a beautiful pun. It's several layers deep, because they call her Hachi after Hachiko, the famous Japanese dog, because she's so loyal and acts like a puppy. But that also means 8, because 8. Nana means 7 and Hachi means 8, and it's beautiful.
I immediately got that part of it.
Yeah. So Hachi is super in love with every boy that's ever looked at her, and so she followed one of those boys to Tokyo, and he was like, no, I was moving to Tokyo to break up with you. I just wanted to be nice. I wasn't when I said maybe one day, I meant never again. And so,
wow, what a dick.
Well, like you do,
yeah. And so she has had.
I've never done that.
She has had a really rough time, and it's so good. It's so drama. It's so music. It is a josei manga. It is for middle-aged women. It is
awesome.
It is not a thing that was marketed to me whatsoever. But I picked it up because I thought that the cover looked cool, and then I read 22 volumes of it. So
So it is not an anime adaptation of Nanette by Hannah Gadsby.
No, actually.
to joke.
But
Just
yeah,
to clarify, when you said the library brought you the books, do you mean they like delivered them to your door, or they brought them to a library near you?
They brought them to the Spicewood Springs branch.
Okay, that was what I thought.
Libraries all exchange stuff.
That was what I thought.
Real cool.
Yeah, because they did that back in when I was living in Wheeling, West Virginia. If there was a book we wanted or a movie or something, we could ask for it and they would get it from a different library.
Yeah, our library back home was in the middle of nowhere, so they couldn't really do that with any other libraries.
Ah, damn.
But
BRB guys, I think I have an idea for a new app. Instabook.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Speaking of the library, real quick, this is a promo for Modern Libraries. If you haven't been in there lately, I don't have to talk to a single person anymore. I go and I grab the book that I want off the shelf, and I set it on the self-checkout, and it has a NFID reader on the self-checkout to be like, okay, these are the books you just sat on the thingy. Have a great day. And also for holds, I was like, well, obviously to pick them up from online, I would have to talk to the front desk. So I talked to the front desk, and she's like, oh no, there's a wall right over there that has like a sticker on the outside that'll be like pick up for Allman or whatever. So you go and you pick that up, and since they're registered to my library card number, nobody could just like walk by, grab it, and check it out. It would be like, sorry, this book is on hold, please put it back. So
That's fucking awesome.
I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just like go in, like grab my books, grab my holds, set them on the self-checkout, walk out, and just never have to have human interaction, and it's amazing.
Can I also say I'm blown away that libraries carry manga now, because that was not a thing when I was a kid and I was going to libraries regularly. Like, high school, when I really started to get deep into manga, like, that was not a thing I could ever find at a library. So, like, this stage is beautiful.
When I was in high school, manga like exploded in popularity, and my library was really smart and was like, okay, we're going to have a manga section, so the kids come into the library.
So the kids will come to the damn library.
And seems like the Austin library system is the same way, because like for Nana, which was kind of niche, there are like 5 copies of each book in the library system in Austin, which is pretty dope. But yeah,
man, librarians are great. They deserve more respect than any troop. Shout out to librarians and libraries and socialized government services in general.
Yes.
How about you, Smith? How was your week?
I'm doing pretty solid. I've been real busy, but I got a real big paycheck yesterday, which was really nice. Yeah, I've been waiting for it. I was like, it's coming. It's bigger than usual paycheck.
Payday is the best part of capitalism.
Yeah.
So I went and bought a heck ton of groceries, mostly.
Don't you love that? You're like, all right, got a big old paycheck. Time for me to get the big box of cereal this week.
The little box of cereal. Time to get the slightly more expensive cut of pork.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to buy name brand this time. I'm going to really treat myself.
I'm gonna buy the beer that costs more than $6 for a 6-pack from Trader Joe's.
That's a good move.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing else going on with me. I'm great. Oh, except that I just watched that Smash Ultimate Direct, and my brain is still reeling, and I'm like losing my butt about it because it's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah. I'm super excited for the new Smash Brothers.
Gosh, how many is it? It's got like 130 stages.
Oh my god. I know they've got like every hero that's ever been in Smash, and people are like, put Waluigi, and I'm like, he's never been in Smash. We need Dixie Kong before we ever get Waluigi IMO.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, so that's cool. And then also I'm pretty hyped that about the news that happened yesterday, where Missouri overturned right to work, which was really amazing.
Yeah,
so
that's
good for them.
Pretty great.
It's almost like the flyover states aren't just a bunch of hopeless bigots that can never make any progress.
Yeah, finally.
Who'd have thought?
I mean, it took a little while, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. Shout out to Missouri. Shout out to libraries.
Yeah. So you guys have both seen Rick and Morty, right?
I have not.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, There's an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick turns himself into a teenager so that he can go to his grandkids' high school. And throughout it, he's all excited. He's going, yeah, I'm Tiny Rick. And he's really thrilled to be this kid again. And then he starts singing a song, and he's singing about dying in a vat in the garage. Because that's where his body is, and his real body. And if they don't go get him, that he's going to die there. And he's just singing about how horrible it is. And yeah, that's me right now. I'm currently dying in a vat in the garage.
Don't do that.
Well, get out of the vat. No.
I would love to.
I know.
It's this fucking shift. I am so tired. Yeah, I just... Boy, it's really, really, like, fueling my anxiety and depression. And it's like, oh, I'm not being productive enough. This is great. And I'm going to sleep forever. At the same time.
Real quick, the phrase "I'm not being productive enough" is capitalist, and you don't need to have it in your brain because
it's the worst thing ever. You should never feel that way. It's so stupid.
I would love not to.
I feel that way too.
I know.
I would truly love not to.
I know that there's a lot, but this is just me supporting you and saying that you don't like it. It's okay to sit around and not do anything all day because that's one of life's great pleasures.
Well, I would love to get back to drawing because like I can barely go on Tumblr these days because I see all these awesome drawings and I'm like, that could be me, but I just don't have the motivation for it. And so like I end up feeling bad and I just get into a cycle of like feeling shitty about how I'm not drawing, but I don't want to draw. And so I feel shitty about that. And it just like blows up. And yeah, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep right now and it's great.
Ha, I got 5. Oh,
you win. Yeah, and just like, God, I don't know. It's just been really rough getting used to this. And by the time I finally do get used to it, I'm going to be back to a morning shift.
You're going to be like, what the hell? Why am I up? And why are you asking me questions at 7:30? Like, don't you know?
Please don't talk to me until 3. That's when you can talk to me.
When I first moved out here, I was feeling really bad because I was wanting to start working on this new game that Bernard and I are planning, and I kept feeling the same way about I'm not being productive. I worked on the game, but I don't know. It's just like I came to peace with it. Just the fact that like life has seasons, and in this season I do not have time to do that. And if I keep trying, then I'm going to hate myself. So I just not try and try again in the future, you know? So like probably very soon, actually. I guess I broke that a little bit because I started working on it last week. But I couldn't wait any longer. But I felt okay with it. I was like, I'm not doing it now. I am going to do it later. Like, yeah. And especially since your new shift has a definite end point, you can just, I don't know. If I was in your position, I'd just be like, you know what? I'm not doing it until the shift is over. I mean, and I don't think that's lazy. That's good.
I fucking love October anyway, and that's when this shift ends.
October owns.
I have a ritual. Like it's Marble Hornets, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and Shaun of the Dead, and like those all get rewatched, and then I rewatch the Night Mind Marble Hornets Explained, and October's awesome. I fucking love Halloween.
You're better at October than I am.
I since this year we're trying to do the same thing where we do a Halloween thing every day of October. I need to convince Summer to watch Marble Hornets with me.
Oh my god, yes!
I don't even know what that is. But
I guess it's good.
It's Slender Man. It's Slender Man.
Yeah, it's where Slender Man kind of got its start.
The absolute start, but it was like the big, like, defining one.
The guys who did it were from Alabama, and they were on the Something Awful forums when they had their like Photoshop a creepy picture contest, and that's where Slender Man started. And so they like took that and ran with it. And oh my god, did they run! I actually have a T-shirt that if you know Marble Hornets, you'll know this phrase. It just says, "Everything is fine."
I love
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that phrase a lot in conjunction with Slender Man. Cool, yeah.
It's super good.
I should watch that by myself without Melissa or with somebody else.
Yeah.
Definitely not Melissa, because that will never happen.
It's 10 hours of YouTube-y goodness, and I recommend it to anyone who's into creepy horror kind of shit.
Especially because now that it's over, there's a lot of like fan playlists that recreate the ARG of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
so you can get the full experience. That's cool.
Because like you have the main webpage, and the main webpage is in, or the YouTube channel is in character. So they're like, oh, I'm going through all of these tapes and I'm going to be uploading them, blah, 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 blah. And then you have the side web page that would just be like, Jay is a liar, blah, 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 blah. The South will rise again, whatever bull crap they were saying. That, like, you would have to stumble upon because it'd be
all the to the art stuff.
Yeah, it would be like a video response to it or something like that. And so back in the day, it happened organically. You can't, like, there's nothing that would tell you that there's supposed to be something in between these two videos on this webpage, but there's fan playlists that put them in the right order.
Yeah, it's great. There's even, like, the playlist that I have saved, like, even includes the one that was, like, a private video. So it just shows private video, and then the next one is, so this is the video that I was just sent, which is great.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I guess with that all said, we should get to talking about Sailor Moon.
I mean,
spoiler alert, there's not a lot this time.
Yeah.
That's why we're taking our sweet-ass time.
Yeah, we might talk about Sailor Moon for about half as long as we've talked so far.
Yeah. I did write surprising amount of notes for what happened, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of those
also,
where, like,
I'm gonna need you to explain everything that happened to me.
Yeah, it's like dense, but not like a lot of time or like interesting developments. It's just like, a lot happens in the 15 minutes that we played this week.
Yeah, like half of the video that I made was me going to Kynes and fighting Esmeralda.
Yeah.
And then going to Medius and wandering around thinking, oh, I'm going to fight Saphir somewhere here. And nope, don't fight him.
Nope.
Spoiler alert, he's not there.
I gotta say, y'all, my streak of having a really easy time with this game has officially ended. My party sucks ass and cannot keep up with things. I did not end up beating Saphirus. I fought the dragon and then tried to fight the next boss after the dragon and could not beat it and didn't feel like grinding since it's optional. And I thought maybe the actual story boss will be easier than this boss, and I was right, and it was. The problem is my party is not working, but I don't want to switch to any other characters because they're all super under-leveled. So my choice is, do I actually level up the other characters, or do I just grit my teeth and try to push through with these characters? And so far I've been trying to push through, and it has worked, but boy, it's getting tougher and tougher. I've made some mistakes, guys.
If you would like to just, because this game doesn't have a lot of like customization as you go through it, I could just send you my save file and you're like, hey, I instantly grinded up to level 40.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. I'm gonna make this work.
And Esmeralda, like, as I found out, is really fucking hard. She was one-shotting Mars, who was...
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, part of it is that I've got Mars directly in the center of my cluster, which makes her the most powerful, but also the most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, like, as soon as she gets hit, she just flops over. I was able to beat her, and having that extra red pupil is super, super helpful.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I currently have Mars with 2 red pupils and her ruby tiara, so she has like 200 attack.
Nice.
That's probably a good idea. Although, like, you hit a ceiling eventually because she'll do max damage and she can't do any more than that.
Yeah.
Is that 9999?
Yes.
Well, I'm not even close to that.
Yeah, I'm not there yet either. But
I got there by using a manicure on her. I got there.
Nice.
But because she's like 43 in mine.
Yeah.
So is manicure better than fragrance?
I'm not sure.
Fragrance is 15. That's the one I use.
Oh, is manicure? Oh, manicure's
wait.
only 5. Okay, yeah.
Is manicure permanent or temporary?
It's permanent. Well, it's for the fight. It's for the entire fight.
Right.
But...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've been using fragrance, which I guess is the same idea, but I'll try manicure in case it's better.
No, if manicure is the single use item, I think that is 5 fragrance, because fragrance is super rare. You get like like 3 of them so far, and I used all
whoops.
3 of them a lot.
Okay.
Guess I shouldn't have been blowing through them. Yeah, I had like 4, and I was like, I don't remember where I got these, but I'll just use them.
Yeah.
I want to beat
They're
this
super
boss.
helpful.
I used them on a random mob one time.
I used them on all the bosses this chapter because because of the exponential nature of stats in this game. Mars just getting plus 15 attack tripled her damage output.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Honestly, with how powerful Mars is in my game, I probably don't need fragrances. I can probably just stick with manicures. But
yeah.
Before we go into the story, I did get everyone to 40 in my game.
Mm-hmm.
And I found Chibi Moon's strength, which is that she is insanely fast.
Yeah, she is.
She is super fucking... She's like 44, 45 in my game, and she has the highest speed stat of anyone. In fact, when I was grinding in the North Pole, none of the other Senshi could go before the mobs at the North Pole except for Chibi Moon, which is incredibly beneficial for things like buffs and recovery items. So, like, if I need to use a toilette or something, or if I want to use a manicure on Mars, I pop that, and then when Mars does her attack, you know, she fucking owns.
when Mars attacks?
When Mars attacks, yeah. And she can now also one-shot the mobs outside of Rias Village, but compared to the other Senshi, her damage is still garbage. But she was doing like 700 plus.
That's not bad.
Yeah. But of course, the mobs outside of Rias Village are really low level because they were meant for Venus leveling up.
Yeah. Venus. Right. So what you're saying is level 40 Chibi Moon can finally beat a level 3 Sailor Venus mob.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, the speed's so useful because then that means you don't have to worry so much about damage because, like, if a bad guy attacks Mars for 90% of her health one turn, you know you'll be able to heal him the next turn if you use Chibi, which is so nice.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks about her being so fast is grinding now sucks because I think like a speedrunner, and so Chibi going first and doing whatever it is she does besides guarding takes extra frames, and I'm just like, I just want to be done with this battle because Mars is going
it's like
to.
Your turn's not helping. Why do I have to wait for you to do it?
Yeah, like Mars is going to wipe the floor with everybody, and even because I for grinding I had 2 red pupils and an anklet to give her Mars to make her go before the North Pole mobs. But Chibi was still faster than that. I'm just like, just stop. Just like,
why are you so useful now? It's about damn time. But
yeah. So what happened last time to get us caught up?
So last time, a lot happened last time. A quick synopsis. We found out about Apsu's illness. And how she wants to get a piece of the Ginzui show rather than the actual full Ginzui show, because at least that's going to keep it from getting powered up.
Those are actually smart.
Yes. We went back to the past, and we went to the North Pole. We found Beryl. We found Endymion's castle. We fought Rufio, Rubius, and we ended once we got to the Silver Millennium, which is on the moon. So on the moon, we wander around for a bit, checking out the really pretty Moon Kingdom, which I posit should be named the Moon Queendom, because there is no Moon King that we're aware of. I'm sure he existed because Queen Serenity had a child, but he is no more. Either because he's dead or was exiled. But
much like bee colony, he literally just has a room to the side, and she's like, "Come out and pleasure me and give me a child." And that's
there we go.
That's all that happens.
He's just a drone. So we do eventually run into Queen Serenity. Who knows who the hell we are because she's Usagi's freaking mother.
Yep.
She asks,
which like I really loved because like. Usagi changes in front of the guards, and the guards are like, "Oh, this must be a servant now," instead of the princess.
Yeah.
Hello, fellow servants.
But like as a parent, you can feel your kid like from anywhere. And so like this was just like no. Like you're Usagi. Like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
and also she just sort of intuits that you're like from the future and shit. She's like, Mom, and she's like, yeah, I get it. We're good.
Yeah. So the others show up, and Usagi gets to introduce Chibiusa as her daughter, and Queen Serenity thanks her. And it's a very short scene, but it's kind of cute because, like, you never get to see that in the anime or the manga, where Queen Serenity actually gets to meet her granddaughter. And you've got 3 generations who are from thousands of years apart meeting with each other.
That's what happens when you have to like put a pause on the development of your entire planet so that the future can happen, so that your daughter can come back and save the Moon Kingdom again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, here's the thing: people are always talking about how video games are just escapist fantasies. Well, this is the true escapist fantasy, which is you meet your 1,000-year-old ancestor and they're not super freaking racist.
These fucking moon people and their moon speak.
If this was more realistic, after like 5 minutes of talking with her mom, Usagi would have been like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
that was awful, so problematic."
Because of course you go in there, she's like, "Oh, it's my daughter. I love you. You didn't go to that filthy Earth Kingdom, did you? Here,
never been consorted with any
take a bath before you speak to me.
Humans, have you?" Exactly. I can't believe you're in love with an Earther. I don't approve of Earth Moon relationships.
Yeah, exactly. So we head out, and then Sailor Moon kind of laments that they can't save her mother, and Luna reminds her that the queen chose to sacrifice herself, and destiny can't be changed. So they need to go find the Barazuisho. I also found in one room there was an NPC who offhandedly mentions that they're worrying about the princess's flying horse.
Right?
So
what a tease.
I was confused about that at first because I didn't put together that flying horse equals Pegasus. And Pegasus shows up in the Dream Arc. I haven't been able to find definitive dates for this. It seemed weird that the programmers would put in a little tidbit about Pegasus when I'm not sure that the Dream Arc came out during the game production, but it may have, because the manga ran from like 91 or 92 to 97, and the game came out in 95. So it's very possible that Takeuchi could have started the Dream Arc at that point, but at some point, like during 94 or early 95, so that they would have had time to program that in. But it just seemed really odd, and I don't know. I mean, it was still kind of cool if that was what they were actually referencing.
What I would love is if, just like they predicted the legendary Golden Crystal with the Barazuisho, I would love if they predicted Pegasus just because some dude was like, wouldn't it be fucking badass if Sailor Moon flew in on a flying fucking horse?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a relatively logical step, for the world building. It's like, duh, of course there's a fucking Pegasus.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing in the Dream Arc of the manga is that Pegasus is the keeper of the Golden Crystal, which is Endymion's Sailor Crystal. Pegasus has it.
So if they know, so then it might be that Takeuchi shared like notes with them, because if they got both the Barazuisho and Pegasus right, they might have had. It's like if they knew Pegasus, they would have known Golden Crystal, but they didn't know Golden Crystal all the way. They knew Rose Crystal, so maybe there was some like notes shared, like when Scott Pilgrim the movie came out, the last book wasn't out, so he like shared their notes, his notes with Edgar Wright, and Edgar Wright was like, I don't like your ending, so I'm going to write my own. But like it's still, like both of them at like when the movie came out, like it and the book were both like canon endings because they were.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That's awesome.
So that might like something similar might have been happening here, especially because they were like, oh look, like we know that. Because like with tie-in stuff, it's almost always to tie into a new thing. So this one happening before the Dream,
advertising,
right before the Dream Arc, having to do with stuff from the Dream Arc, it might have been a cross advertisement.
Very
And that
possible.
reminds me of one of the ultimate things, which is when the literally very first freaking episode of the Pokemon anime has Ho-Oh in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And as a kid, like, you know, Gold Silver didn't come out for a while.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone was like, what is it? Oh my gosh. Like, man, they had us by Nintendo had our childhood imaginations by the horns. They were just like, yeah, this is all you're going to think about now. And they were right. It's all we thought
the
about.
Pokemon anime started like 3 years before we got Gold and Silver over in the US. So, anyway, we eventually find Princess Serenity and Prince Endymion talking on the balcony of the castle. Endymion says that Beryl has brainwashed the people on Earth and that she's going to conquer both the Earth and the Moon. That's pretty much it. That's more of Destiny repeating itself, because that's what happened during the Silver Millennium, is that Beryl had grown powerful because of Metalia, and she'd used that power to brainwash the Earth into like anti-moon propaganda and stuff like that. And then
all these barrel trolls, all these bots. Trying to influence the relations.
Yeah. So here is when something funny happened. So this scene with Endymion and Serenity is the last, like, invisible checkbox you have to do before the plot continues. But I had missed one because I wasn't following the guide. I just kind of, like, saw, like, oh, go to the North Pole, go to yada yada. And so I had missed the old guys talking in the Earth Castle, where they were like, oh, hey, Endymion's, like, a loser for talking with moon people. Well, let's go and blow their stuff up later or whatever.
Oh, really? You actually have to talk to them?
I missed those. So I'm like, all right, I've done all the things. Let me do the classic Sailor Moon Another Story move of leaving and coming right back.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. And I'm like, what? It's like, I did it again. I was like, well, maybe I can't just, like, go to the Ark. Maybe I have to go and, like, land and then come back. And then still nothing happened. And I'm like, well, gosh darn it, what am I supposed to do? So I was lost for a little bit. And then I read back over the guide, and they mentioned that scene, and I'm like, oh yeah, Eli said something about that, and I had just didn't realize that was a scene. I thought it was like a NPC or something. So
whoops.
I did the opposite. I had checked all the boxes, but I just didn't think, like, leave the area and come back to it. That's just not intuitive at all. So I was running around like, I'm at the Moon Kingdom, what do I do? And then I was like, well, maybe I have to go beat Dragon. Sam said it was optional, but maybe he was wrong. So I leave to go try to fight Dragon again. And then I think I ended up checking a guide, and the guide was like, leave and go back. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like in Mercury, we had to do the same thing, where like the guy's like, oh no, go in peace and leave me alone in my house, and there's nothing to do in the thing besides go back and talk to him. And I'm like, okay, well, this could have been one cutscene.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
That's not how this game works.
Vader is gone for 2 freaking seconds, and everything goes to hell.
Yeah, exactly. We leave and come back. Everything has been completely decimated. Beryl shows up and laughs about how the Moon Kingdom's been annihilated. And now how now? Surely she'll get to be with Endymion, because he's totes gonna fall in love with the lady who conquered everything.
I mean, hey, Padme Amidala fell in love with Anakin right after he murdered a bunch of people, so...
And not just the men, the women and children, too.
Exactly.
But, so, I just thought of the logistics of this situation, assuming that you hadn't missed a thing like I did and had to go and do it. But like in Eli's case, where he just leaves and comes back and then everything's destroyed. When you're flying away from the Moon Kingdom on your space car, and there's like a battalion of other space cars coming to blow up the moon, call somebody. just call somebody.
Yeah.
But Sam, you can't change destiny.
I mean, yeah. But...
The bad guys can change destiny, but the good guys can't change destiny.
Yeah, they've got to leave shit the way it is. That's the whole thing with like the Bronze Dragon flight in World of Warcraft, and the Infinites come up and they're trying to change everything and make everything different. It's like, yeah, it would be great if the culling of Strathholm didn't happen in the first place, but that would also fuck up a whole lot of other shit if we prevented it. So we've got to go cull Strathholm.
Yeah. It's the classic time travel paradox of, if you have a time machine, should you go back and kill Hitler? Like, should you go back and stop Queen Beryl? Should you go back and stop
If you
World War
turn your
II.
toaster into a time machine and you sit on a fish, will it? That's a Simpsons reference. Sorry. I don't know how much you
That's
kids have
amazing.
seen.
I am pretty Simpsons-y, but I don't get that one.
Yeah.
So that's amazing that's a Simpsons reference because it was really close to a bit from South Park, who also has the bit that Simpsons did it and nothing to do with the
Simpsons
original.
did it. Simpsons did it.
Because they had a time travel but with a duck and not a fish and a microwave and not a toaster, and it's hilarious that Simpsons had already done it.
Yep. It was one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes, which are
that makes sense.
the
Yeah,
best Simpsons episodes. They are absolutely hands down the top Simpsons episodes. Anyway, so back to Sailor Moon. We cut back to her. She's sad, but she doesn't seem to recognize that it took like 5 seconds for everything to go to shit. We see Princess Serenity lying on the ground, and then she disappears. Luna says she notices the Jakoku Zuisho's power, and for those who don't know Sailor Moon, like you, Spiff.
Yeah, I'm like seriously, more Zuishos?
Yes,
there's so many.
Crystals are a huge thing. Like, like it's proto Steven Universe. Like crystals are incredibly like prevalent and important. Lots of enemies are named after gemstones. It's great. It's part of how I got really into like stones and crystals when I was a kid.
So as a quick aside before you actually explain it, I was really like upset at the fan translator because he gave us the if not English dub, at least the English fan sub for like definition for all of the Zuishos so far. He's like the Rose Crystal or Bar Zuisho or the Rose Crystal or whatever. Same with like the Ginzuisho and everything. So you could use the shorter name, but the first time he told us what it was. And this one, and I'm like, all right, what's that? A. And then the cutscene keeps going. I'm like, no, like what's going on? Like, I don't understand this at all.
Tell me what this is.
They're just throwing it out there. They're just like, oh yeah, the Jakoku Zuisho. And I'm just like, okay.
They're like, all the dub fans would have quit this game by now.
Yeah, I give up. Jakoku Zuisho essentially translates to like evil black crystal. So if you don't know Sailor Moon during the Black Moon arc, it's like the evil like anti-silver crystal that's used by all the members of the Black Moon family. They have earrings that are made out of it, and it was what was used to bring down the Crystal Tokyo in the future. And like the whole thing in the original anime is that they have to capture these 5 points of Tokyo that represent each of the Sailor Guardians by using the Jakoku Zuisho's power on them.
Oh,
okay.
So
cool because we got none of that. Except it ended up like not being important.
Yeah. This is all
so
shit.
Basically, Luna's like, hey, the bad guys have the bad guy thing.
Yeah. Basically, this is all shit that like they absolutely didn't do justice for like the series as a whole. Like they for fans, this is great. This is good information and it's useful, and we can infer what's happening because of just seeing the word Jakoku Zuisho. For anyone who was, like you said, a dub watcher or never got into Sailor Moon that much but wanted to check out the RPG, that's useless information. That's absolutely worthless, and even in the original Japanese, it wouldn't have been helpful.
Yeah, because like all they could have said, because this is what they meant, was I sense Queen Beryl's power. The end. Like got everybody up, but they're like, oh, let's throw in some fan service, and it ended up like weakening the thing and just being confusing.
Yeah, in this case, it was Prince Demond.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. So Sailor Moon calls him out. He's surprised that we came to the past. His whole deal was in the Black Moon arc also was having Serenity all to himself and spying on her, which is all sorts of creepy. He kidnaps Sailor Moon at one point and puts her in a dress that ostensibly was made by someone on the Black Moon because it looks similar to Serenity's dress, but it's not the same. And how did he get her in this dress? She's 14. This is weird.
This is super weird.
Yeah. Like he's got holograms of Neo Queen Serenity and everything. It's just, it's gross. So Sailor Moon...
he's got like a bust of Sailor Moon made out of Starburst candy in his closet.
Starburst candy that he has chewed beforehand so that it would be sticky enough. Yeah. So...
for you youngins on the podcast, that's a reference to a commercial from like 1998.
I do remember that one.
I thought you were talking about Helga and Hey Arnold.
Oh, that was chewing gum. Yeah.
That was bubblegum,
Also from 1998.
Yep.
So Sailor Moon tells him to leave her former self, who may or may not be dead, alone. I'm guessing she's dead, actually, at this point. To which he says no, and then tells her to come with him. Sailor Moon's mom told her not to go with strangers, but Prince Demond isn't a stranger, so it's totally fine if she goes with him.
Yeah.
She already knows this guy. It's cool.
Once again, a bad guy says, Sailor Moon, you should do a thing. And she's like, okay.
Okay. I guess I will.
And everyone else is like, Sailor Moon, please stop doing this.
Yeah. Will you stop doing the thing that the bad guy told you to do? And she's like...
New rule. Do the opposite of what the bad guys tell you to
do. She's not very quick on the uptake. She mentions that Luna told her there's no point to patching Destiny and they should just make Destiny 2 already. But Sailor Moon's like, I guess this is my Destiny since it happened before.
Not realizing that, no, this happened to Queen Serenity. You were watching it happen to Princess Serenity right now in front of you. That was what had happened before. But okay, whatever.
I feel like she's more just like, whatever happens is destiny, I guess.
Well,
the bad guys are winning. Well, I guess it's destiny.
I think it's because she was thinking back to that one time that Daemon kidnapped her before. Because that did happen during the Black Moon arc. Like I said, that was when she ended up in that dress, and it was really weird and creepy and gross. And like he forced a kiss on her, and it was terrible. She was like, I can't marry Mamoru now, and I'm like, oh, honey. But Daemon makes a creepy remark about not touching anything other than Sailor Moon if she goes with him, and none of my senshi are intervening. What the fuck? You're all assholes.
Yeah. Like, if you see something, say something. They're
just standing in a line at the bottom. Like when I saw your note, I was like, surely they said something, and I just went back to my screenshots, and she just walks away. They just stand there, and so. It like before it was always Haruka that said stuff, so I don't know if you had Haruka with you.
Nope.
Like maybe this was with the right party. They mentioned something, but nope.
Also, it's funny because they don't say this till later, but later in this section that we played, you run into Prince Demond again, and he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I'm gonna fight you," and then he's like, "Oh man, there's a lot more of you than there used to be. I'm not going to fight you." but use that logic here. Like, so the game literally acknowledges 20 minutes later that they could totally kick his ass. And now they just sit there.
Nope.
Yeah, we're just going to watch as our princess and future queen gets taken away. All right.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they all just secretly don't like her very much.
Like, look, we're tired of her fucking shit.
Yeah, she's one of those characters that is super adorable to watch on TV or in a game, but like a lot of comedy characters in like sitcoms and stuff, you're like, yeah, if I was actually there in real life, this person would be so fucking annoying.
Usagi was not this dumb in the manga. Like she was still not super bright. But it was like, you know, she had good intentions and that sort of thing, but, you know, she was more cautious. Sailor Moon in the original anime was a complete moron and almost entirely insufferable. But, you know, that's just how it be.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, people say it don't be like it is, but it do. So Demon takes Sailor Moon away because that's what happened before, Destiny repeating itself, yada yada. Apparently Princess Serenity's dead body got teleported to where the past dead Guardians and Queen Serenity were, because Queen Serenity uses her Ginzu Isho to send their souls to the future.
So that she actually didn't need to get teleported, like maybe moved 5 feet just so she would be on screen, but that thing where she's standing is right above where Demond left her body, so like it's not like suddenly she's like at the top of the palace, like huge plot hole.
Oh,
like
yeah.
She could have been there like in universe. And
Sir Queen Serenity just came in and dragged her along.
Like, look, sorry, you're out of frame. So
I'm gonna have to drag you over here. Otherwise, I can't send you to the future.
It's just like the aesthetics are just going to be all off. There's going to be like a big negative space. I
need to feng shui this circle of dead children.
Free band name: Feng Shui, the Circle of Dead Children.
Oh my gosh!
I'm taking it. That's mine.
Okay.
That is the name of a band that is really bad.
I mean.
I don't mean offensive. I just mean like fucking terrible.
It's got me in it, so
not the one with you in it. The band I'm imagining that actually named themselves that is a really terrible band.
We are Feng Shui, the Circle of Dead Children.
No. It'd be like Twee Shit.
Oh no,
like Vampire Weekend, but worse.
Here's a fun story. Since today is we get to take tangents because we're almost halfway done already. I one time was playing this show at Java Jazz in Houston, and it was like this all day festival thing, and nobody showed up except for the bands there, so nobody was inside watching any of the bands while any of the bands played.
That sucks.
Damn.
And there was this one band that like was really mad at that. Like they should have known that that's what was going to happen because it was like noon on a Sunday, but they were so they're like trying really hard to like get audience participation from a crowd that's outside trying to have a smoke or whatever. And one of the guys goes, "Let's give it up for pussy," just like seriously into the microphone, broadcasting to 50 other people there that were like, "Oh, please no! Like I'm not like I don't want any of this."
Yeah.
And so now every time I imagine bands with names such as the Feng Shui Circle of Dead Children,
they would do that. Absolutely,
that's them. That's that band.
Here's what it would be: Feng Shui Circle of Dead Children would be a band where it's like they're trying to do kind of a punk rock, sort of an underground sort of style thing. Mm-hmm. The problem is all of the people in the band went to college, which if you know anything about music, you know that that's what makes a band go from being good to going bad. Bad. It's like, oh, they went like Three Boxes, for example. The guy goes to college, and then look what happens. No, so they're all. Wait, seriously? You know, what's the music school that all the academic types go to?
Juilliard?
Juilliard, yeah. It's all these fucking Juilliard trust fund babies trying to, like, do,
make
like,
punk
you know,
rock.
trying to do, like, underground punk rock. Yeah, which, for the record, there's a lot of those, and they're bad.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of band I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Awesome. So once the Circle of Dead Children has been properly feng shuied, and their souls are sent to the future, we see the Despacito Senshi nearby watching. We'll get through it someday.
Good every time.
Yep. They notice the Ginzuisho break apart into the rainbow crystals and get sent to Earth. Nurgle is itching for a fight. Marduk tells her that Apsu's finished her plan, apparently. Sin explains that they need to get one of the rainbow crystals, which Ishtar seems really concerned about because they're just little shards. But Nabu and Marduk both agree that it would make the Ginzuisho powerless. Sin says that Apsu could then exert her power, and Ishtar seems happy that they'd finally be done, and if they find one. She's like, great, our mission's over, we're good,
Yeah.
we can quit forever. Because I feel like she's the one who least wants to be there, but she's also just going to be excited about it no matter what, because she's just thrilled about life in general. Ishtar
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, she just loves everything.
Yeah, so this part of the game, like, it's narrative design. Like, its writing has been, like, hit or miss throughout it, but narrative design is, like, the bullet point outline of the story. And the narrative design of this game has been, like, weird and a little anime bullshitty, but, like, at least has made sense. But this last chapter has been, like, the main bad guys are like, we're going to the past so we can do this thing, and it will mess everything up. and then we go in the past after them and don't address them whatsoever. Like, they basically show up, we're like, all right, the Ginzuisho broke into 7 pieces, and we got one, so let's go home. And, like, we didn't run into them, didn't do anything with them, didn't do, like, any sort of, like, interaction with that whole thing at all.
Yeah, we just kind of dick around for a while.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know why they would even go to the past, because, like, the destiny was for the Ginzuisho to break apart if we're going by original anime standards. Mm-hmm. So unless they were trying to prevent the manga ending of the Silver Millennium, which was Sailor Saturn comes in and obliterates everything, and the Ginzuisho doesn't break apart because that's not how it works, there's really no reason for them to be there other than just to make sure that things happen according to Keikaku. Keikaku means plan.
One of my all-time favorite, funniest things that's ever happened.
Yes.
I die every time.
What's the clamp word for Destiny? The one they made up.
Oh shit!
That's what I thought you were saying at first, but it's like Hotsutsun or something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly. No, the Keikaku thing is a screenshot of a Death Note like fan sub or something like that. And for whatever reason, Light says he says in Japanese the word Keikaku, and they translate it in the sub as all according to Keikaku. And then they put in parentheses.
At the top, there's like a note. Yeah.
Keikaku means plan. And it's just like, what?
So,
why?
It's just one of those things. Plan? Sometimes weebs are really fucking obnoxious, and they're just like, if I put a Japanese word in there, it's more authentic, even though I'm putting the translation. It's like, just put if you're doing a translation, just do the translation.
Yeah.
So, it's so, I'll never understand the mind of people who do things like that. But I think it's hilarious.
Just like there's so many people that determine if a translation of a game or anime is good or not if they use chan, san, sama, the honorifics at the end. And it's like, well, no, like, because there's two groups of people that talk about the localization of Persona 5. Some of them are like, oh my god, it's so exact, it's so great, look at all of these honorifics they're throwing around. And then the other ones are like, yeah, but that's not a localization because everyone's just speaking word soup, because Japanese is basically just like word miso. And you just like pull out the noodles of thought and move on. And like none of it makes any sense in the English. Like the voice actors do a great job making this word soup sound good and important, and you make it through and it's okay, but it's like, it's not like a Persona 4 style localization that was like one of the best of all time. And it's just like, all you people are just excited because he says Lord or blah 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 sama. Like you see so that, you're like, that's enough. And
like they got the honorifics right, but what about that important plot point where they said a sentence and I literally had no idea what they were talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it can't be helped.
Yeah, it's just how it be. So we cut back to our Senshi as they watch Queen Serenity disappear. And then Saphir, who is Demon's younger brother, shows up and basically asks the Senshi to kill them both because he's in horrible agony from having to be alive again.
Same.
Yeah. So, I know, big mood. So apparently Demon has Usagi in the basement of the Moon Palace, which is great because that's exactly where that old fortune teller said I'd find my bike.
Good one.
That's a Pee-wee's Big Adventure joke for all you. I hope you liked it.
I did. Have a cookie.
I have not thought about that movie in probably 55 years. So.
Fucking love that movie. My sister and I, so when my sister was really little, she got on these movie kicks where for like a full fucking week, it was one movie and we would watch that one movie over and over and over. And like she had a Peter Pan week, Disney Peter Pan week. She had a Mary Martin musical Peter Pan week. She had a Wizard of Oz week. And I'm pretty sure there was a Pee-wee's Big Adventure week. And she, like, I remember her being fucking terrified of the part with Large Marge, which was hilarious. But yeah, so I used to watch that movie a lot because that was what my sister wanted to put on. Not that I'm complaining. It's a fucking great movie.
Yeah.
So Luna says we need to go tell everyone, so we leave the moon and head back to Rias Village. Without Sailor Moon, of course, because she's gone off to
do some Usagi shit.
Do some Usagi shit with Demon, yeah. So Luna tells everyone that Sailor Moon somehow prevented changes to the past by getting herself captured, I guess. Saturn mentions that it might not matter with Sailor Moon having been taken away. And then we get like 5 minutes of everyone talking about how horrible it'd be if there's no Sailor Moon and they have to help her. Which is like...
except for...
well, yeah, Venus. Venus goes on about, she's fucking awful and I hate her. We have to get her back.
I love Venus's bit right here.
She's like, she's not that smart, and she kind of sucks, but we gotta save her. And I'm like, I was laughing.
The exact quote, which I love, is, the girl wasn't too great, and she was too careless, and she was a dunce. Plus, she wasn't the smartest of all people. But we have to help her.
She's a dunce and not the smartest.
I also like how the joke here is sort of supposed to be that she's listing all the different ways that Usagi's bad, but really she's just saying that she's stupid 5 different ways.
Yeah.
That's really her only negative/only trait.
I honestly felt like those lines should have been given to Mars, because in the original anime, Mars really fucking hated Usagi. Yeah. Like, they were super tight when it came down to it, but they had such a rival bickery relationship. But it was so funny. And like I mentioned in our Let's Play, I was like, man, Venus, that's mean. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, you of all people. And Ken goes, no, see, she's just channeling the audience. She's just saying how we're all feeling.
Yep.
So what Mars says in this cutscene, taking it with the idea that Mars hates Sailor Moon, I feel that hers is the only one that's positive, because all she says is, a destiny without Sailor Moon, ... And so for me, she's just like, wait, I could have Mamoru. This is good. Let's just go. Let's go home, guys.
let's go with this.
Yeah, she's like, a destiny without Usagi, ... And the rest of them are like, would be terrible. And she's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Definitely terrible.
Yeah. So
we're definitely on the same page here.
It feels kind of corny and unnecessary, but it's meant as a sentimental homage to the anime, and it's supposed to be an emotional moment. I just don't think it translated well one way or another, either to the game or to English from the game. Exactly. Like I'm not sure if it worked well, because like, I don't know, I don't feel like any of them should really need to convince one another that they need to save Sailor Moon, but like in the anime it would have been this, like in the Sailor Moon R movie where they're all having those flashbacks to when they first met Usagi, and it's really sweet. And
the pop song comes on while all of them cry because Usagi is demonstrably dead or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to save Sailor Moon anyway, because otherwise the game would be over. So, really, they didn't need to convince us.
They were almost like, we don't like her that much, but I guess we.
I would love it if they didn't save Sailor Moon, and then Sailor Moon Super S comes out, and Sailor Moon's just gone. Oh, by the way, did you play the game? Because Usagi's dead. Sorry.
Yeah. She got creeped to death by Prince Demond.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What?
Oh no, she got creeped to death by Prince Demond.
Oh. That sounded like a Audacity just broke.
No. Sorry.
So Luna tells us if we stand on the symbol in front of the Moon Palace, it should let us into the basement. Stairs would be far too convenient and not magical, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. That's one of my favorite tropes in magical fiction. Is they're like, look, we could just give you stairs, but what if we had a dragon that would carry you up and down between floors?
Yeah, exactly.
But you could just give me stairs. Just because you have a magical solution doesn't mean you can't imagine the science solution or whatever.
Well, I do like how in Harry Potter they sort of posit that there's something broken about wizard brains, and they just can't do science for any reason, even though
they can't comprehend things that are practical and useful. Yeah.
Yep.
And they just automatically go, magic!
And even the most, scientific-minded wizard, Mr. Weasley, he still is just so this is a fork. have you guys ever heard of a fucking fork? And he's just like, oh, it's probably this. And like he like does like sciencey stuff to it, but it's still just like, nah, dude, it's a fork. We put that shit in our mouth.
Shit's pointy, yo.
Yeah. So we have to choose a new party because Sailor Moon isn't with us, and it'd be helpful to have a full group of 5 Senshi. So I went with Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Pluto mainly for that sweet, sweet time stop.
Yeah. Time stop is overpowered.
It really is. It's so good.
Yeah, I basically replaced Usagi with Pluto because y'all kept talking about her, and she was underleveled, but I put her in the back and just had her use Time Stop, and yeah, it's working pretty well.
Yeah.
And what's great is Time Stop takes all of her stuff and her EP. So if you have the people in the front doing their super moves that take up half of their EP, and you have Pluto in the back doing Time Stop, Cologne, Time Stop, Cologne, Time Stop, Cologne, you're unbeatable. And that's basically how I got through this whole chapter. Pretty much was just
you chain time stops, and it's great. And there's no diminishing returns, and you're pretty much invincible at that point.
And also, this game doesn't have any semblance of like these mobs are special, but except for when Beryl wiped the floor with us last chapter.
Well, yeah, but that was programmed.
Yeah, so like everywhere else, it's just like, oh, like bosses can have status effects, which is like bizarre to me because like no RPG can like you build this whole like buff system, and you're like, all right, time to go to the boss, and they're like, oh, sorry, I'm immune to poison and sleep, and Scarlet is going.
Fuck your battle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is your kid okay?
False alarm wasn't my kid. It was the babysat kid.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Oh,
I was
kids,
like.
I just heard someone screaming, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, daddy," and I'm like,
I was like,
sorry,
that was what it sounded like. Like some kid was having "I want my daddy" fit, because I used to have those when I was really little. I actually have memories of that, which is weird.
Yeah. But no, it was just the kid that Summer babysits.
Okay, cool.
She does this every morning. I didn't realize that it was already 11:30. So
great. So we were talking about, bosses being able to have status effects on them.
Yeah, and so the fact that Time Stop works on bosses is just ridiculous to me. Like, it would fail in, like, every Final Fantasy game I've ever played. But not here.
Nope.
Here, just have some...
You guys know what I'm about to say, right? No,
have some cheese, you deserve it.
Yeah.
So we head back to the moon and go stand on the symbol that takes us to a very cavern-like basement.
Yeah. Is it yours?
Yeah. That basement of mine that I don't have. That's, I mean, like the basement in my parents' place is like where they keep their extra freezer so that they can like store additional meat and vegetables and things like that. So it's like, is this where the Moon Kingdom stores all their meat? Is this why they needed a magical barrier so that no one would get their food supply?
Yeah, obviously they're
clearly. Clearly, I mean, they've got chests sitting down here too, so clearly they keep some treasure down there. So once we're there, my absolute favorite villain shows up. It is Black. Nice. It is Black Lady. Not an appropriate name, perhaps, in this day and age.
Especially because, like, her name isn't Black Lady; it's Black Lady, which, like, every time you're reading it or hearing it in the anime, everything is fine. But for this screenshot is just hilarious because it's like, oh no, it's a Black Lady.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It doesn't work as well in translation because of that particular connotation. But you just gotta kind of assume in Japanese whenever they say black, they mean like as in dark and evil. But she was translated.
Japanese people are all emo, and they're like, black just means dark and scary,
which is weird because their funeral color is white and their wedding color is black.
Wild.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The more you know.
So, in the original Deke dub, she was actually changed to Wicked Lady, which I think sounds way lamer.
Yeah, because I knew of her as Dark Lady, which I think is from some other dub.
From like it might be from like the Mix comics or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, but because like I knew of her as Dark Lady, and then we were watching Crystal, and she's like, "Holy crap, it's a Black Lady!" And I'm like, okay, that's different."
Yeah. So she is Chibiusa turned evil, basically. Wise Man had given her the power to be hot and sexy and evil.
Extremely hot.
Yeah, oh my god.
So, yeah, if you aren't familiar with the anime, this part probably made no sense because it's another one where they just were like, wouldn't it be cool if you fought Black Lady right here? Okay, done.
Yeah.
The end.
And Chibiusa, as soon as she shows up, Chibiusa goes, "It's me!" And anyone who
I'm
doesn't...
very glad she said that.
Yeah. Anyone who doesn't watch the anime is like, what?
Yeah.
So, or read the manga. But she definitely recognizes herself. And Luna asks how that's possible when Chibiusa's with them. And I'm like, did she not see Princess Serenity and Usagi in the same room together?
Yeah, I don't have the question of like, how are there two Chibiusas? I'm like, okay, but you were literally Chibiusa from like 5,000 years in the future from right now. How did you get here? I'm not mad that you're here. I understand that destiny has been changed and we're dealing with time travel bullshit, but like whose time machine did you use? Because like
I just want answers, Sailor Moon.
How'd you get here? Like you don't work with Prince Demond, you don't work with the Despacito soldiers. You literally just kind of like showed up.
Yeah.
And I don't get
How
it.
did she get here?
Okay.
This is not her beautiful house.
Nice.
Thank you. I'm making all sorts of fun references today.
Yeah, I'm proud.
I appreciate it. I'm very culturally literate. So from like the 90s. Black Lady explains that Apsu is changing destiny, and therefore she's the real Chibiusa, and that the Despacito Senshi have already gotten hold of a rainbow crystal, which will weaken the Ginzuisho and cause Chibiusa to disappear, which would also make Black Lady disappear, by the way. She clearly hasn't thought this through very well, but she is Usagi's kid, so what can we expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a thing in time travel bullshit stories that I always love because none of it like makes any sense. The Flash like put a name to it, like they hung a lantern on it, but like, yeah, this doesn't make sense, but like this is where the fun stuff happens in time travel. Is the moment where like, because like if me and you went back in time to try and kill each other, like there's not any overlap if that happens. So it's like I go back in time and then I do something that causes your death. You then don't get to follow me back in time, and I win.
Yeah,
there's always
it immediately would. You now change the timeline immediately. Like it's not like if this happens, then this will happen. It's like, well, it already happened, and it already happened. So
yeah,
you shouldn't even. Yeah,
and so it's like this weird thing in Flash. They call them time remnants, and it's a side effect of like the timelines trying to like snap into their newness. They're like going over and like getting rid of all of the chunks. So time remnants have like a time limit that they can live on, but like they at least had some sort of an explanation for like the entire plot of Back to the Future 1. Like you mess up their date, you're dead. Sorry Marty, you're done.
Yeah,
you don't get to like refix it.
Yep.
That's awesome. I never heard that before, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it like. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's so stupid" when it happened in the Flash. I'm like, "Oh no, this is like an answer to like every time travel story I've ever freaking watched."
I've seen that in a few other stories as well. Yeah, it's bullshit. Like it's not really how it would probably work, but it's just like changes to the timeline. Just take a bit to propagate, because whatever. Because time travel is dumb. All you gotta do is just say that, and you're like, okay, fine, whatever, sure.
Yeah, like time travel is already dumb, so just give me a dumb answer, and then we can move on.
Yeah. Perfect. So then we fight. Yep. And I just used a manicure on Mars. She did max damage, and it was incredible. Still not enough to kill Black Lady in one hit, but the fight was extremely easy, especially with Pluto's time stop. pretty much took like 2.5 rounds and she was dead.
So
Yep.
one thing I noticed here is they didn't do what they had done earlier, which was make the, like, if you're stuck in a cutscene for half an hour, to make the bosses at the end easy. Like, these were easy, but, like, not to the level of, like, the earlier ones where it's like, oh, I just used my one special move and now you're dead. This one is like, oh, I still had to use, like, my healing setup and all of this stuff to take it down, and I could imagine somebody with, like, poorly assigned accessories getting curb stomped and then having to go back and watch all of the Apocalypse, all of Prince Demond, all of everything over again because there was no save point. You've just been in a cutscene for this whole time. And
yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
So Black Lady, as she's dying, says that they should repent for defying Apsu. And then we just kind of head through the caves for a while, fighting the same enemies over and over and over.
Literally one mob with one layout.
Yeah.
When I saw... Yeah, it was really hard. And because it was really hard, and they, like, they're, like, mirror images of each other, the two mobs, I thought it was, like, how before, where it looked like random battles, but it was actually planned. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess this is just part of a thing I'm not knowing from the anime or whatever. And then it was the same mob. I'm like, no, these are... The random mobs are just this freaking hard and this, like, thematically tied together and all of this stuff. But, oh well, I'm going to grind until I one-hit kill them.
Yeah, pretty much. So as we get toward the end of the cavern, Saphir shows up again and asks us to stop his brother. And then we go through a doorway and we find Demond holding an unconscious Sailor Moon captive. He says he heard that she was after the Bado Zui show, and it's a good thing he took it. He also mentions that he would have been fine with Princess Serenity in the past, which is especially gross because she's dead.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much like, I guess last resort necrophilia is all right.
Yeah.
I'm glad Queen Serenity sent those children into the future.
Yeah.
So Chibi Moon comes in and confronts Demond, who demands, to know how we found out about where they were. And he realizes that it's probably Saphir's fault. So Saphir shows up, sure enough, and he pleads with Demond to stop because there's no point trying to change fate. And Demond seems to understand, and then Sin comes in and whacks him, or she tries to whack him, but Saphir teleports over and takes the blow. Saphir asks Demond to set Sailor Moon free so that they can be free as well. And then Sin starts monologuing about their plans to change destiny for the umpteenth time.
Yep.
And then we fight.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so this is the first time Has it the first time we fought Sin? I feel like we fought.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, she's been around the whole damn game, but we're finally fighting Despacito.
Yeah. So, she has a bit more defense than Black Lady, but otherwise the fight was not tough because of Sailor Mars and Time Stop. I pretty much wiped the floor with her.
Yeah, so this part of the game, I was like I'm strapped in and going to finish the game, but like for as long as Chapter 4 is, they could have just found the Rose Crystal in Chibi Moon's forest and moved on to Chapter 5. Like,
yeah, this was...
all of it seems like a big old chapter full of side quests. Like there's been a lot of cool parts where like Usagi has to like confront death and be like, is it okay that like I'm allowing these people to die because it'll save the future or whatever. Like those were like cool moments, but they could have done those cool moments in a way that like mattered. Because like Sin showing up right here, I was like, but like, why do you give a shit about Prince Demond and all this crap? Like you just said that you succeeded at your goal and can go back to Apsu. I guess they just needed a boss fight and they didn't want it to be Demond.
So I would say part of it is that, remember, we saw Sin's cutscene about how she joined Apsu, and it was after the Black Moon had killed her parents.
Oh, yeah. So I remember she does mention, like, I'm going to kill the guy that killed my parents.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but, like, why did she have to then fight us?
I think another part of it... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Spiff.
Oh, I was going to say, this is basically the same thing that Xenosaga episodes 2 and 3 do, where it's like, you have this lengthy playable thing, or you go back in time, or in the case of Xenosaga 2, go into a computer and watch things from the past, and it's just like... It's really, the only reason you're there is because they have to have exposition. So it's just like, the characters are just watching exposition happen for an entire chapter.
In this case, my personal theory is that this was a fan service chapter, because we get so little information about the Silver Millennium from the manga and anime. We certainly get more from the manga, because there's actual flashbacks shown where Serenity is sneaking off to Earth, and the Senshi are stopping her. You know, we find out about the Senshi in their princess forms during the Dream arc, and all that sort of thing. But, like, this is the most Silver Millennium that ever shows up in any Sailor Moon media whatsoever.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
This is, like... We actually get to see the terrain. We get to see what the moon was like back then. It had an atmosphere. It had water, apparently. You know, it was, and it was really beautiful. And it's something that I think that they saw in the manga and went, the fans would really like to be a part of this, I bet.
Right.
And so I feel like that's like the main reason behind this. Plus, like, you know, the bringing back the Black Moon, that's a fan servicey thing too, because the Black Moon arc would have just happened pretty recently in the anime and manga. So it still would have been relatively fresh because it was the one just before the Infinity arc, which is where the game takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that had a lot to do with it. A lot of this game is fan servicey. It's very much a love letter to fans themselves, and not meant for people who are not familiar with Sailor Moon.
Yeah, so, and like as a fan service chapter, they did enough to like wrap it together, but it's still one of those things where I'm like, they could have wrapped it together more. And it like because like I thought from when we picked up and we're starting to play that the Ginzui show was going to break into 7 pieces, and we were going to go have 7 dungeons to prevent them from breaking it and stopping Destiny. But no, they succeeded at that, and they went to go and do the future. And it's just like, it's like they had outlined a way to tie all of this together. So like, yeah, we're there to get the Rose Crystal for the first half of chapter 4, and everything is going great. But then, like, not only do we have to watch our past selves die, then another bad thing happens, and so like we're actively fighting to stop Destiny. Like that's what I thought was going to happen, and then this one was just like, oh no, Sin shows up so you can have a boss fight, and we're at the end of the chapter.
Yeah,
like,
and it honestly, it would have been great if the next chapter was go find the rainbow crystals, because then they could flash back to the original anime season. They've already brought Urawa in. Urawa was one of the rainbow crystal holders. He was given precognition by his rainbow crystal, and there were 5 other humans and a cat who all had rainbow crystals inside of them, and it would have been cool to go around and like fight them or you know, deal with them again, so that Sailor Moon would have to re-heal them and take the rainbow crystal back, and they absolutely could have made cool dungeons out of that. Spoiler alert, they don't. But you know,
especially because I meant to bring this up at the beginning, but the reason this episode has nothing in it is because the guide that we're all using is a filthy liar, and it said that chapter 2 was not very long, and then when we got chapter 4, it said this is the longest one in the game, and we really watched 2 extra cutscenes and fought literally 2 bosses and would have completed the whole chapter from where we stopped last time. It's like, so it's just like, because of that, I was expecting this chapter to be actually long. And I'm like, okay, this is a long chapter. Now we're here. Look at this plot device dropped in front of my face. This is what we're doing. But then no.
Yeah. I mean, in its defense, I think we're getting some good discussion out of it that we wouldn't necessarily get. Like in our 2-hour all 4 of the Senshi during their particular chapter things,
we just had to go.
Yeah, exactly. So we fight Sin, we defeat her, and then she says it doesn't matter because I got what they wanted, and it's time to repay those who betrayed them. Then she kicks Demond in the balls to avenge her dead parents.
Which, is kind of great. If I could go back and kick Alzheimer's in the balls, I would do it.
yeah, exactly. So Demond apologizes to the Senshi, saying that this isn't the destiny he actually wanted. If he could, he would make it so there would be no need for fighting, which means it's definitely anime Demond, because manga Demond was a crazy person who tried to destroy the universe by touching the past and future Ginzui show together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
love to destroy time.
Yeah, this is redeemable Demond from the original anime, who got actual character development and personality, which was great. So Demond dies, and we finally get the Baruzui show. Luna wakes up Sailor Moon, who seems to be acting like she just had a nightmare or something. And then they head back to the future, and that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, because I was saying just now, I was so ready for the second half of chapter 4 to finally start that Chibi's like, "Oh, here's the rose crystal." I'm like, "Really?" That was it?
Okay.
Sin was going after this for 3 chapters. It was here on the guy whose balls she just kicked, and she just left it.
Should have kicked his balls earlier.
All right.
Yeah. Why
guess.
didn't you just go after Demond in the first place? And what's your deal?
Yeah. It was just weird, but yeah. All in all, this chapter I liked it a lot. It had a lot of good parts in it, but it still was just the chapter 4 we could have had if they weren't trying to keep this game under 20 hours for Baby's First RPG. The 40-hour version of this, chapter 4 would have been chapters 4 through 12 to give us all of the going after all of the crystals, and had a bunch of different stuff in it. But
yeah, and then we would have had to fight the Despacito Senshi to get that last crystal, and yeah, it really would have come together well.
When you think about it too hard and realize that the chapter is entirely extraneous, because there were 2 plot threads, right? One plot thread is we need the Baruzui show. Okay, well, they didn't have to go into the past to get it. And the second plot line is the bad guys are trying to do a bad thing. So they go into the past and ignore the bad guys doing the bad thing. So it's hilarious. But if you ignore what Sam was saying about it being basically pointless, I like the idea of here's a chapter where we all just have to be sad about the bad thing that happened in the past and how we can't change it, and have a lot of feelings about it. And for me, I was enjoying the game before, but chapter 4 is really, and the end of chapter 3 is actually it's really been hitting for me now, because now I'm oh man, these characters have emotions, they have to deal with real things, and just sort of that subtle, what's the word, that just sort of underlying just that weird sort of sadness of having to just deal with the fact that these tragedies are going to happen no matter what is really cool, especially for Usagi.
So, spoilers for a book series that you probably won't read, but you should. Called Pendragon. And so the gist of Pendragon is that every universe has a turning point where something important happens that could change the future in 2 massively different ways. Earth being special, and also where the author is from, has 3 of them. But and so you go through your first 4 books, and you're go into this water planet where, oh look, they discovered this underground city, and they can either be in a war or not in a war. So you stop the war, and everyone lives in harmony, and everything's great. Or you go to the discovery of gunpowder in this old medieval one, and
that's the first book, which I actually read. Yeah, it was good.
And it's okay, well, don't kill each other, and everything's good. So you get to the third one, and it's okay, well, this one takes place on quote-unquote First Earth, which is the 1940s. And you're I know my history. This is right before the Hindenburg explodes. But the Hindenburg was carrying Nazi spies and also, prototypes for nuclear weapons from the German side. So, your main character had to blow up the Hindenburg to let Hitler do all the things, but he had to watch these people do bad and let Hitler do bad, because if he didn't, Hitler would do worse. And it's just I have the power to change everything, but I have to let the bad stuff still happen. And that's the huge vibe I got from this chapter, which is why I really liked it.
Yeah.
But spoilers on that, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, the first book's the only one I read, and yeah, it was basically just like it was basically just a big metaphor for like nuclear weapons and proliferation and what's the word MAD, and it was really cool. He's like, hey, y'all should not do mutually assured destruction, and they're like, oh, what a cool idea.
Oh, that's new and fresh. I've never heard that one. Tell me more.
I mean, America and Russia couldn't figure it out, so.
Well, I guess that about does it for the week. Do you guys have any other final thoughts? Or
No, and actually, I have to leave, so I hope y'all better not have any final thoughts. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all, we can take a second.
Yeah, so we tangented a lot because my original plan was we were going to get through this in like 30 minutes and then talk a lot at the end. But let me check if there were any Dragon Quest stands that came in the last hour. And
Dragon Quest stands, give me your strength.
In a whopping 3-0 victory, people still refuse to play a Dragon Quest game.
Xenogears it is.
Xenogears it is.
The fight continues.
One day, Spiff.
I know we're running a little late, Spiff, and I know you need to go. So, did you want to talk about the Game Shark codes to make this game playable in the future, or do you want to save that for the live episode or something?
I will save that. I had that plus a couple of other tips, so I will save that for later because I really got to get going. But I just want to say, obviously, y'all know I'll pull them for Dragon Quest, but I don't want to be a downer or anything. Xenogears owns, and we should all be super excited to play it. I'm definitely excited to play it for the first time since age 15.
Me too.
Since age 15, I've grown out of being the kind of person who likes that kind of thing, and then growing back into being the kind of person who likes that kind of thing. So yeah, I bet it's going to be awesome, and we'll start playing in like 2 weeks. Chapter 5 just going to be one episode, right?
Yeah, so Chapter 5 is going to be one episode, and then we're going to have a follow-up episode just to talk about the whole thing and talk about Sailor Moon, and also let Eli be out of town. So he can get his playthrough of Xenogears done a week early. And,
awesome. So that means I'll start playing Xenogears right around the time Dragon Quest XI comes out. Doesn't life just love to give me two RPGs at once?
Yeah. At least it didn't make you start playing 2 Dragon Quest games at once. So.
That's true. Yes, you get them all mixed up.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
awesome, yeah.
That about does it for the week.
All right.
You want to play us out, Keyboard Cat?
Yeah, if you like what you hear, I'm sorry, I'm so tired.
Yeah, you just like died.
You like hearing?
I agreed for 2 hours of energy, and we are at 2 hours and 5 minutes, so you get nothing.
Nope, it's gone. It's gone. If you like what you hear and want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. If you just want to talk to us, we have a Twitter at rpgbookclub, an email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our favorite, our Discord, which doesn't have a catchy URL, so you can find a link in the description. Join us next week when we play through Chapter 5, the final chapter, After the Battle. Woo! For RPG Book Club, I have been Elias, Sailor Eli, Warren.
I have been Sam, Daddy, Allman.
And I have been Michael, slightly more intelligent than Usagi, Weapon.
Have a week, everybody.
Doodly, folks.
Bye.